Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to what is probably the first video for IED that you've come across. I want to talk to you about a couple of things. We've had 2 days in class of direct instruction. Now I want to point out activity 1.1.1 due by 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. And I want to make sure everybody's on the same page, make sure you all have what you need as you go into your first asynchronous day. So let's get to it. Under assignments, as a student, you should see that you have this upcoming assignment, activity 111. It'll take you right here. There's a couple of links here that you can use to help you out. At the beginning, we give you what the goals are to help you understand what you should be doing. By the time you get to the end and you've gone through the entire process of making sure that you have brainstormed, built, tested, and then as a team made some decisions about what your best device is, look at the data on that data sheet, keeping in mind that you should be recording to the nearest inch. You'll find at the very end that there's that discussion prompt. There's submitting a picture, filling out that data sheet, and responding to the discussion prompt, all as a reminder. And that very much so lines up with what you see here under the goals. But the question might be, how do you make sure that you're doing it correctly when you go to submit? So at the very, very top, you'll find Submit Assignment. If you click on that, down at the bottom now, you'll have a place where you can choose a file. Because as you saw at the very top, you're submitting a file upload. And in this case, you want to choose a picture that you've saved from either a picture you took on your Chromebook, your laptop, your cell phone. Some way you need to get a picture of the device that you created to launch an object for this activity. Upload that file and then submit the assignment with this button. When you do so, I'll then be able to assess it, give you your score, and we can move on. Don't forget that 5 points out of the possible 50 points for this assignment come from the fact that by 10 a.m. you have also answered the discussion prompt. If you click the links for the discussion prompt, you'll find that it says, as part of activity 1.1.1, you should respond to the following discussion prompt. Using your box plot and data set, predict the distance of your next launch. Now that's important. Start thinking about what does the data say that you've collected and put into this data sheet, which we'll take a look at in a second. Justify your prediction in your response and provide evidence of some type using experimental data. How did you predict the distance of your next launch? There's not necessarily a right or wrong prediction. The only thing that you could do, quote unquote, wrong here would be not responding, or responding with, I don't know, or I don't know how to answer this. We want you to attempt. As teachers, we're more interested in the response having meaning, not necessarily being what we might perceive as correct. So do the best that you can to provide us with at least 3 sentences using appropriate vocabulary, which means that you're thinking about the stuff that you've researched and taken some notes on up to this point. And then, of course, your language. So, try to make it appropriate for school as well as appropriate for 9th grade or higher level writing. You'll click the reply area. You'll type in your response here, add in any pictures or anything that you would like with this rich text content editor, and then post your reply. Once you've done those 3 things, turn in this assignment and submit a picture, answer this discussion prompt or reply to it, and then also putting your data into the data sheet. You can click on any of the 1.1.1 data sheet links that you see here, which was told to me that they had some issues. I went in and made sure that they all linked to the correct data sheet. You can also access the calendar on the left-hand side of your Canvas and then find in here that activity and that discussion post if you need to get to it quicker. Okay, and this is all under day 2 or day 3 objectives that you can find the links that we'll be doing for your synchronous day today on Tuesday or your asynchronous day tomorrow on Wednesday. So however it is you get to that data sheet, be sure that you do. And then let's take a look at that together. So let's take a look at this data sheet. And you'll find that at the bottom of our data sheet, I've already put in the names in the tabs to help you out a little bit based on which team you are in and what I'd already seen from people that were putting in data. This giant, big, long data sheet that you see here is all the way at the end of that tab selection down here at the bottom. So if you were to go all the way to the very end, you'd see class summary of plots. You don't have access to editing this particular spreadsheet. You have access to editing the teammate spreadsheets. So for example, Jason can edit this one, Mia this one, Lena this one. Now be careful that you do click on your tab, because Mia could also, if she made a mistake, go in and edit Jason's. So if you see that somebody's already put in data there and put their name at the top, make sure you don't copy over theirs. The Team 1 compiled graphs and the Team 2 compiled graphs and so forth, these auto-populate based on the data that you put in to your individual data sheet. As you put in the data, I'm going to work on Mia's here for a minute. I'm going to say that her launches were this. She had 45 feet, inches. She should tell us, but let's go with 45 inches. Another 45 inches, another 45 inches, another 45 inches. She seems to have some pretty high precision here. Then it got a little weird. She got a really bad launch and she went with 20. Not super accurate, only missing it by 1, but fairly accurate. But then she got 10, and then she got 30, and then she's now losing that precision. She's now upwards of 60 and 80, and then she got 3 inches. Well, in looking at this data, I can say that her max was 80, and I can say that her min is 3. Based on the box plot documents, I would have to figure out what her quartile 1 and quartile 3 values are. I'm just going to make up some fictitious numbers here, and I'm going to say that she's got 15 and 60, just to make the graph appear. This now is her box plot. She also needs to figure out what the median is, and again, you can find all of that information anywhere that we've provided for you, box plot and distribution. This will bring up a page that helps you understand what box plots are. You can then either download this PDF and open it that way, or you can scroll down and start cycling through it and getting a better understanding of what box plots are and how they can be utilized with the data that you're gathering. This will help you with finding what that quartile 1 and quartile 3 and median and so forth are. Remember that the activity calls for you to make at least 10 attempts and then record to the nearest inch, estimating if necessary. You need to think carefully as you go forward. Don't be afraid to ask questions, but be prepared for what the response might be. There was a question asked earlier where I had to make the call late in the game. Do we count where it rolls to, or where does the object land when it first hits the ground? Because I had to make the decision, I'm choosing where it landed, not where it rolled to. So if that means you have to do some retesting, talk as a team and figure out what it is you need to do. You have a place to put in your data. Once this is all populated, Mia's data will now be in her Team 1 compiled graph, and she'll start to see how it compares to Jason. But it's important that you all are thinking along the same lines as everyone else when it comes to the units. If we have one group that's recording data in feet, that's going to be difficult to compare it to a group who's recording it in inches. So when we come back on Thursday and we start thinking about this, you may have to come back to some of this data and do some conversions and think about it. And you might see that the big overall graph that we have that starts to show people's data points changes slightly. This whole activity is all about us getting into discussing the data, what it means, how to manipulate it, and what that manipulation might do for your data. Enough about this. I want to remind you that tomorrow, make sure that you click on the Google attendance form and you fill it out. Please do this within the first 30 minutes of the typical time that you would be in class with me on those asynchronous days. Reach out to me if you have questions. Let me know if there's anything that I can do to help you guys out. From 9 to 10 a.m. tomorrow, I'm going to be in a faculty meeting, and from 1 to 2, I'm going to be in a group meeting with my engineering staff members, and from 12 to 1, I'm going to be eating lunch. Reach out to me. Let me know how things are going. Make sure you're staying on top of your to-dos. Make sure you're checking on the things that you need to check on, and make sure you're getting your answers to the questions that you have. That's all for now. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.